Hi guys, my name is David and welcome back to my channel. Today I will be talking about a book series which surprised me. It really did surprise me. I didn't think that I would enjoy this series as much as I did. And if you clicked on this video, you know what series I'm talking about. Usually I read horror and fantasy. They are the two main genres that I read because it's what appeals to me. Occasionally I do read the odd non-fiction book and sci-fi book, but for the majority of the time I always focus on horror and fantasy. That's what I enjoy reading. So the series I am talking about is called the HeartStopper series. So let me explain first. Last year, around um, when Pride Month was in full swing, I went to my local library um, to see what they had to offer for a section for Pride Month. I didn't want to get something like too heavy. I wanted to get something light to read. So I came across the first Heartstopper volume. Obviously, I knew what this was about. To be honest, at the time, I didn't think that. I thought that um, I wasn't going to think very much of it. And at that time, it was just something that I was going to say, right, at least I have read something, I've shown my support, and I've given it a chance. These are also graphic novels or comics or whatever you want to classify them as. Um, the art style isn't anything special, um, but it is detailed and it is. The expressions on the characters' faces um, are really well done. And as time went on, I learned to really appreciate the charm of the artwork. So after I finished at the volume 1 of Heartstopper last year, I absolutely loved it. So I went back to the local library where I got the first one, and I was straight away looking for volume 2, as volume 1 leaves on a cliffhanger and I wanted to know what was going to happen. I went there about 3, maybe 4 times at most to see if they had it, and they didn't. Someone still had it out on loan, and after that, I kind of accepted it, thinking, okay, fine, and then I moved on to newer, and I was going to say better things, but you get what I mean. I moved on from Heartstopper and from looking for volume 2. Now, down in my hometown, there is a charity shop or a thrift shop or or whatever you want to call it, and they are shutting down. The shutter is always like down in front of the storefront, and people will leave all their stuff there. So when the shop does open, they can take it in. You get the point with that. But the charity shop down my road is shutting down, and as a result of that, they are hardly ever open. In fact, tomorrow is going to be their very last day, the 23rd of January. So anyway, up to about 2 weeks ago, I was coming back from work, and the shutter was down on that charity shop, and there was a pile of books out on the front of it, and they weren't going to open at that time, and it was evident that they weren't going to open for the rest of the day. So this stuff was going to be left out there overnight, and God knows when it was going to be picked up. So I went up to the stack of books out of curiosity. I couldn't tell what they were, but I went up to them, had a look at what was available or what was there, and I came across the first 4 volumes of Heartstopper. There is a 5th one, which I am planning to get, and there's a sixth one currently going to be coming out at some time. I'm not sure when that's going to come out, but I found these on the floor in front of that charity shop, and I felt that it was my, I won't say my duty or my destiny, but I felt that it was um, that this was a sign for me to read this series. So I was over the moon with finding all four of these volumes, and I picked them up, took them home, and I started from volume one, and then I read volume two pretty much straight away. I think I had a little break halfway in between, but for the most part, I read these. I mean, I binged these. I devoured these. Volume 3 and Volume 4. Now, these were really, really quick reads for me. I could read one of these in like one day. They are very, very quick reads. I would say they are very simple reads, but they were very enjoyable. So, what is HeartStopper all about? Well, it is about a boy called Charlie who is a openly gay character at, or a openly gay young man at his local school. Everyone in the school knows this, and as he came out, and there was this instance where he was bullied because of him coming out as being gay. All the bullying has stopped, but it is mentioned. It is a big part of Charlie's character. He does mention it several times throughout the series, but currently, when you're reading this, there is no so-called bullying around. There is characters that kind of poke and prod at this openly gay relationship, but it's not too extreme. I'll put it like that. So Charlie is going about his day-to-day life, and one day in school he comes across a new student called Nick, who he sits down with, and he instantly has a crush on him. He finds him attractive, and he slowly forms a crush on him, and then it builds up from there. But Charlie knows or has a feeling that Nick is a straight guy, and he's thinking, well, why am I doing this to myself? Why am I torturing myself with this relationship that will never happen? Why am I pursuing a relationship that I can never be a part of, and he will never reciprocate my feelings for him? But then Charlie kind of says to hell with it, and after a while they become friends, really close friends, and they share an intimate moment with each other, where they kiss each other, and that kind of occurs a lot in this series, where Charlie and Nick are both kissing each other, and this relationship is a very sweet relationship. It's a very heartwarming relationship between these two characters. They both care for each other immensely, and it's kind of like a having like a nice warm blanket on when it's cold outside, having a nice warm blanket on, and it's comforting. I'll say that to actually read something this sweet and genuine story and genuine relationship and genuine feelings. I feel that the author called Alice Oseman. Sorry if I've mispronounced her name. I feel that Alice kind of took them anxieties and worries and feelings about young people struggling to identify as being a little bit different, I guess, gay, lesbian, bisexual, trans, and having all these kind of worries about, okay, I know I'm supposed to be attracted to this group of people, or actually this group of yeah, I mean, I know I should be attracted to this kind of group of individuals, and I can't really come to terms with it. I don't know how to process my feelings, and I feel that the Heartstopper series kind of probably helped a lot of people in that way. Self harm is mentioned in this, where one of the characters briefly, very briefly, says that he cuts himself. Don't actually worry. It doesn't go into explicit detail. It doesn't show this. It just briefly mentions it. Eating disorders are a big thing later on in this series, where a character struggles to eat stuff. Um, I think it doesn't really explain why, but it implies that events that happened in the past have somehow traumatized them to have this as a result. And yeah, I was surprised that Alice makes um, this these two gay guys seem relatable, because the concept of love, everyone can kind of form a connection with that. Having someone that you have fallen hopelessly, in love with, whether it's someone of the opposite sex or the same sex, and being romantically involved with that person, having strong feelings towards them, wanting to care for them and protect them. And because being a very romantic guy myself, I think that that's why I kind of attach myself to these books quite heavily, and really formed a connection with these two characters, which um, I really thought that I wouldn't really have given these two an honest chance, because, as I said at the start, I was just going to read this as a one and done type of thing, like an experiment. I'm not sure about this one, but at least I've given it a chance, that type of thing. But um, but no, I really like this series. So at the end of Volume 1, I won't spoil any of these, so don't worry, guys. But at the end of Volume 1, Charlie kind of expresses his feelings towards Nick, and they share a intimate moment with each other. And Nick kind of goes away. He's been called away by one of his friends, and Charlie kind of thinks that's his fault, that he's somehow pushed Nick away by forcing this on him, and he's feeling extreme guilt by this. And then Volume 2 picks up right from where Volume 1 left off, where Nick is struggling with knowing who he is, trying to identify these feelings towards Charlie, um, knowing what his um, sexuality is, as he says numerous times that he's not he doesn't think that he's gay, he thinks that he's bisexual. And a lot of these characters in these books have um, these types of relationships. Some of these have a gay relationship. There's a character which has a relationship with a um, openly trans character, and there is a lesbian um, love affair in this as well. So within this group of individuals, there's all these kind of relationships going from all different sexual backgrounds. So in this one, they kind of get closer, and um, Nick has to kind of come to terms with his feelings towards Charlie, as he feels very protective over Charlie. And I suppose this is the somewhat biggest thing that happens in this book. It's more about him trying to find his place in the world and understand his feelings towards this boy. And there is a character in this called Harry, and I forgot what his name was. He's a very minute side character who does pop up from time to time. I believe in Volume 1, maybe in Volume 2, but definitely in Volume 1 and Volume 3, where he seems to be like a Jack the Lad type of character, saying, "Oh, look at all these girls, Nick, and you should get in there and get some of that." And he doesn't explicitly bully Charlie, but um, he more or less does. And Nick kind of lets him know what he thinks by that um, having his by having a fight with Harry, who is one of his so-called friends. And then in Volume 3, Harry tries to make up for this and make amends, but he goes back to his smarmy ways. I think that that's where the HeartStopper series kind of somewhat fails for me. They could have got this done so much more with this character, where he kind of redeems himself, where he starts off being a really unlikable character, and then he redeems himself to be a very understanding and changed person. Volume 3, this was a very enjoyable one for me. This is where they go to Paris. They go on a school trip to Paris for, I think it's like 3 weeks. And this is where Alice kind of explores the like wider friendship group that Charlie and Nick have. And it's very romantic, where they kind of having to struggle with how to tell everyone that they are in this relationship with each other and they have these feelings towards each other, and there's that kind of struggle there. And I think that this is where one of the characters is introduced with having a eating disorder. So I'm not sure, but if that may trigger you, be warned about that, I guess. I really enjoyed this volume. Yes, it's probably a bit typical or standard that a series that's a YA series has a book where they go on a school trip. Um, but I enjoyed this one. It was really good, and I think that a lot of the characters bonded as well. And in volume 4, this is where one of the characters who I mentioned in volume 3 has a eating disorder, but this is where it is fully explained and talked about. And this kind of comes between, well, somewhat comes between Charlie and Nick and their relationship with each other, and they have to try to kind of, I would say, mend them bridges, but kind of had their relationship grow stronger and have a form of trust and understanding. To be honest, this was probably the weakest volume for me. If I had to rate these in order, I would probably go from 2, 3, 1, and then 4. So I probably rated volumes 1, 2, and 3 a 5 stars, and volume 4 a 4 stars, because I didn't really. I mean, it was good, but I didn't really enjoy it as much as the first 3. I know that there's a TV series. I have no interest whatsoever in watching it because I'm not thinking that it's not going to be any good, and I don't want to show my support. But it's more or less to do with how the characters look. Having read the first 4 volumes, I know what Charlie looks like and I know what Nick looks like. And they both have unique characters and unique designs of their characters in my mind. And I think that a TV series won't really do that justice. And I know there is novels about Nick and Charlie. Again, got no interest in reading them. I'm sure they're good. If I do come across them out in the wild, I will pick them up, or if I see them in my local library, I might pick them up and give them a read. But yeah, let me know, have you read HeartStopper? What did you think about it? And yeah, I'm not sure when, like, what month Pride Month is this year, but if you are kind of struggling with what to pick up or what to read for Pride Month, then my personal recommendation is to obviously read Heartstopper. I would probably read the first two volumes first because, trust me, at the end of volume one, you would definitely want to go into volume two. So, my personal recommendation for this Pride Month is to read volumes one and two together. So, yeah, let me know. Have you read this series? What did you think about it? Hopefully, I've done these books justice. I was wondering whether to hold on to these or just pass them on, but I think I'm going to hold on to them for just a little bit longer. I will probably reread these at one point, whether it's the end of the year or next year, but I will definitely read these at least one more time before I make a decision whether I'm going to keep them or whether I'm going to hold or whether I'm going to pass them on. So that's been my video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next one.